there is no escape, nor do we want it. We've come to thrive on it and each other. You can't get the adrenaline pumping without the terror, good people.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Christian Hanna Horror here today, and today I'm trying to fulfill a request that's been done many times over from you guys. Now, you kind of enjoy the smaller labels, Blu-rays you want me to recommend. Well, I'm finally doing a company that I feel really bad that I haven't done yet because, quite frankly, I'm a huge fan of SYNAPSE Films. SYNAPSE Films is a company that does very uniform-looking releases. They don't do a whole lot of extra things with their releases physically. You basically get the Blu-ray with cool art and that SYNAPSE logo every time, but you're always guaranteed a good release. They put their heart and soul into their releases. Can't think of one SYNAPSE purchase I've ever had where I was just like, well, this didn't really deliver. They're a great company, and I hope them for the best in the future, and I'm hoping I can push you guys to get some of their Blu-rays today. So without further ado, we're going to do 5 SYNAPSE Blu-rays I want you to own, and I feel no better way to start this out than with one of the greatest horror movies ever made, quite frankly. That is Suspiria. Now, I want to make one thing very clear right from the top. There is an amazing 4K release of this film, and if you have not picked it up, definitely go ahead and get it. But if you're not 4K and you want a great release, or probably the best Blu-ray release of Suspiria, I think I have it in my hands right here. Now, this is the 2-disc collection from SYNAPSE, and it looks absolutely insane. It is a 4K restoration of the film, so that's one thing to note right off the bat, is it looks beyond amazing. When I say it looks amazing, I'm shocked that this film was filmed when it was, because when you see it, it looks like it was done yesterday. This is quite frankly one of the best restorations of a film I've ever seen. But I also give credit to Dario Argento and his team, because they just happen to make magic from start to finish with every physical aspect of that film. Now, Suspiria needs no introduction in the world of horror, but if you haven't seen it, I'm actually not going to spoil anything about it. I will say I think it is the best, if not top 5 at least, best Italian horror films ever made. Now, from its era and its time, it's certainly one of the best as well. And a fun tidbit, this is Alice Cooper's favorite horror movie, so that might actually have some levity to some people. I know that's really cool. This is a film that, quite frankly, once you see it, it changes your life. There's life before seeing Suspiria and after. Now, this Blu-ray release is amazing. Like I said, it's a 2-disc version. When I say it's got a lot of special features, I mean it's got a lot of special features. Too many to name, quite frankly. Multiple making-ofs, multiple commentaries, everything about it. Classic interviews, classic behind the scenes. It is beyond chock full. If you take away anything from this video right now, I highly recommend getting Suspiria. But again, it does have a 4K release that is even better. To move on SYNAPSE, there's another movie that I think is an all-time staple from the decade of the 80s and, quite frankly, from the SYNAPSE line. Now, this Blu-ray came out years ago, and I'm glad to see that it's still in print. What movie is that? Maniac Cop. Now, Maniac Cop is a great movie for a couple reasons. I'll give you 2 right now. Bruce Campbell and Tom Atkins. Whenever you say those 2 names, most people will think instantly of Halloween 3, Night of the Creeps, or Evil Dead. This is a movie that sports both of them in it with that's right, a maniac cop played by Robert Zdar. An amazing performance all the way around from everyone in this film. Got the perfect amount of charm, and it's written by the great Larry Cohen, who is one of the best from that era in everything he did. Larry Cohen was a trailblazing pioneer that did what he wanted when he wanted. It looks good as it really probably could at the time of this release. Now, this thing came out years ago. I think it was, 2011. So SYNAPSE has been around the block. This Blu-ray is 10 years old. There has yet to be a 4K of Maniac Cop, but I wouldn't be surprised if SYNAPSE eventually gets around to it. But to have this movie on this Blu-ray is a no-brainer to me. It's a must for your collection. It's a must for fans of 80s horror movies, slasher films, Bruce Campbell, and Tom Atkins. You really can't go wrong with this SYNAPSE Blu-ray of Maniac Cop, and it is a frequent watch in my horror room. Coming up next is the movie so nice that I bought a cavity color shirt of it, and then my wife took it right from me. I've never been able to wear it for a video. Now, this is one of my absolute favorite SYNAPSE releases ever, because it was a first-time watch for me, and I fell in love with it. That absolutely is Street Trash. Now, Street Trash is an 80s splatterpunk style movie with insanely fun colors, heads coming out of toilets, killer alcohol, you name it. What a fun movie. It absolutely lives up to the name. Street Trash is a great name, and look at that artwork. That movie better be good to have artwork that good. And not only does it do that, but quite frankly, I think it surpasses it. Street Trash is an 80s classic. I mean, it is beyond classic. It is one of my favorite horror movies. Quite frankly, it should have been in my top 10 favorite horror movies. But what was so great about this Blu-ray release, and I think I have already pulled them out, so I do apologize, but this Blu-ray release of Street Trash did come with 2 stickers for the Viper alcohol, which when you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And actually, I found an alcohol bottle that was the same size as the one from the movie, and I replicated the bottle. It's back there on the Blu-ray shelf for display. Street Trash is amazing, simply put. It is about killer alcohol that when you drink it, you blow up with great wild colors coming out of you. Nobody knows what's going on. The bums are all on the streets dying. Body parts are flying everywhere. It really is a great film. If you haven't seen Street Trash, this is the way to introduce yourself to it, is this Blu-ray from Synapse. I think it's probably my all-time favorite Synapse release. There may be one more, but this probably is it. Well, Dario's going to make it on this list twice today. Quite frankly, he'll be on a Volume 2 as well. But at least I want to show you now is Phenomena. Now, this very well could be my favorite Dario Argento film. I have no problem saying that Suspiria is his highest point and one of the greatest horror movies ever. But Phenomena is a really great movie. Not to mention, it's got Donald Pleasence in it. I know that's going to turn a lot of you guys on. I don't want to spoil these movies. You know, going into these Italian movies, I think is best done without knowing anything. Go by the title, go by the imagery that you'll see, and just start to imagine what it could be, and then let it unfold into you when you see the movie. It's quite a really great experience that way, I think. But one thing about Phenomena I will say is it has one of the greatest final sequences I've ever seen in horror. There is a American release, which is called Creepers, and then it's got the regular release, which is called Phenomena. Now, Phenomena is a 116-minute version, while Creepers is an 83-minute version. Disc 2, it is a 110-minute version of Phenomena and a special features. And in terms of special features, a lot of great stuff. Again, you've got commentary tracks with a lot of people. Derek Botello, film historian, journalist, radio commentators, David DeVille, Dario Argento's World of Horror documentary, which is a great watch, so definitely check that out. This release is a 10 out of 10. I love it. It's an amazing movie. I love it. I think it's my favorite Argento film. It's just my kind of horror. I love it so much, so can't go wrong with this release. And you can flip the art around to where it'll say Creepers, but to me, it's Phenomena. So the number one for this video, this might battle with my favorite Synapse release. What's so great about Synapse is they've been able to introduce me to some films for my first viewing experience ever on their format, and it just leaves a warm feeling in my heart. The number one on here, if you don't own it, is in fact Popcorn. Now, Popcorn is a 1991 slasher film that basically will kind of remind you of a film that'll happen a few years later called Scream. Just a little bit. Very different atmosphere, very different scenery, but there is that certain kind of mystery motif to it that I was extremely pleasantly surprised with. Popcorn is a horror movie fanatic's horror film. Quite simply put, that's the best way to describe it. It has all the beats and vibes that you want, love, and will appreciate. It was also filmed, I think, in Jamaica, which was really cool. It's not exactly blatant, but then it kind of is in certain parts of the movie. But what a great movie. I think there was a big campaign to get this movie done by the fans, and they put up tons and tons of money to make it happen. Great release. I love this release of Popcorn. There's an amazing documentary of the making of on here, and it's just really great. If you are the kind of horror fan that doesn't dip around too much with, say, the splatterpunk like Street Trash or, say, the Italian stuff, this is a 100% surefire bet for you, Popcorn. That artwork is just legendary. I've seen that in grocery stores growing up. The imagery I would build up in my mind for this movie as a kid was totally different from the movie itself, but luckily the movie itself was Absolutely great. I loved it. Popcorn is a staple in my rewatch list from now on. Ever since I bought this, it's just a fun movie. So I really don't think you can go wrong with that. But guys, this is Synapse. I'm really ashamed that I haven't done this sooner. They're a great company that gives you good, solid releases, and I can't thank them enough for doing what they do. They really probably are my favorite Blu-ray company. I just love Synapse. Now, I do know that they're working on some releases in the future. There's been a talk about them doing Kindred for years and years, the Kindred, excuse me, and it hasn't happened yet, but I read that they're still working on that, so I definitely have enough material to do a volume 2, so don't worry. If you enjoy the Synapse, please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know that you would like to have more recommendations from this label. Let me know about the specific ones that you are interested in, and of course, let me know your thoughts on the films if you've seen them. For now, this is Christian Hanna saying check out Synapse Films. They're a great company with great releases. We'll see you guys next time.